Welcome everybody. Today we're here with Mark. What's up, Mark? How you doing?
Hey Jake, how you doing?
I'm so good, man. So we actually have a really interesting story, actually, and the viewers are gonna love this. So tell everybody how we actually met. First off.
Right. Really funny. Well, first of all, I started watching your videos, sort of on that journey that I was on, trying to find information more about this, finding this whole new world. And one of the videos I saw, you mentioned you were in Tampa, going to Miami, and of course, I was like, "Hey, I'm in Miami." Specifically, when you said you were getting your hair system fitted. So. Um, I think I was going through a couple of videos and you mentioned a specific place in Miami. And I ended up going there and I was getting the system done. As I was getting the system done, door opens up and you're standing right there, getting yours done as well. Couldn't believe it. Could not believe it.
We're both just standing there with masks on, and I just see your eyes just
Yeah.
like bug out. I don't see anything else, but your eyes just go like, "Oh man!"
Yeah.
That was a really cool
Couldn't
moment.
believe it. Yeah. Yeah. Very, very cool.
Yeah, so that's awesome, man. So you just got your very first hair system. I just got mine thrown back on me, which is so cool. You look great, by the way. How do you feel,
Likewise.
man?
Man, it's been a roller coaster ride. Like it's really funny. Sort of the things you were talking about when you first got your system really resonated with me. It was just, anyone who's doing it is probably going to feel the same way. You just go through so many different emotions. It's not one of those things that you get it and you're just like, great, I'm good to go. Um, you feel all sorts of things, nervousness, anxiety, stress, happiness, just so much energy, and you have no idea what to expect. And then it finally goes on and you're just kind of looking at yourself, and then you're looking at yourself,
Hmm.
and then you're looking at yourself, and you're just trying to take it all in. And it's so much mixed emotions. But then I think once you get out there and I showed it to my girlfriend and my family, they couldn't believe it. And I just started to take it all in and really get accustomed to this new look, which was a big part of it. So I
That's
feel great
awesome.
about it. I really do. Yeah.
I'm like very happy for you. So your girlfriend was there with you as you're getting the system installed, which first
Yeah.
off, I have to say, I think is incredible. One, that you're including her kind of in that experience, and for the reason for that, I'm really excited for you is that instead of like hiding it or feeling ashamed or feeling like you have to lock it in the closet, right, and kind of keep it away from her, you just like it's
Right.
totally helping her embrace it, and like it'll just become a thing between you. And she was super excited for you, like I saw it, and she was just like she's like I love it. She said to you, she's like, I met him when he didn't have any hair. And I was like, well then I guess you can keep her around. Like she's not here just for your good looks. No, I'm joking. um, but it's really exciting that
Yeah.
you're including her and you've
She's
included
great.
your family in that, and she does seem great. Now, what was that like before you actually got it? Because you were probably driving in the car with her. How were you feeling on the drive over to Total Secret?
Well, my personality type, I'm just sort of, I try to dial back on the excitement or even nervousness or whatever. I kind of just put it in my mind as, look, Mark, you're gonna just try this thing, and if it doesn't work, not a big deal. If it works, great, but don't be overly, excited about it.
Hmm.
I really was just in a more sort of, I was in a calm state.
Stoic.
I was a little bit, yeah, exactly. I was more stoic, I think, than I actually realized. Because I mean, at least for me, I felt like I had nothing to lose.
Hmm.
Um, it's one of those things where I actually, I had a shaved head, and I'm pretty comfortable with it. But again, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, if I'm going to do something like this, I might as well do it now. I don't want to wait until I'm 50, 60 years old. I really just wanted to see. At first I was going to get a hair transplant, and actually my girlfriend was the one who really kind of pushed it for me. She was like, I tried to get the hair transplant. They said it wasn't going to be possible, or if it was, it wasn't going to be the kinds of results that I was looking for. And then that's when I found out about hair systems, and she was really the one that kind of engaged me with it and told me to go for it, and so I did.
That's awesome. Do you have any pictures of you before this?
Oh yeah, I do.
Can I see some?
Absolutely. Sure. So yeah, I have, there's a bunch of pictures you can see here. Know, so basically my hair loss started when I was around 20, 21 years old,
Mm-hmm.
which was a big shock to me because I had a lot of hair. Um, I was always sort of made fun of in the family and also at school with the amount of hair I had. It was just so much. I had so much hair that actually I would, after I'd shower, I would wear a hairnet just to keep it down because I would get the most ridiculous cowlicks when I wake up in the morning. There was just no way to keep it down. And then, so, 20, 21 years old, I was a musician at the time, and I'll never forget the day. It was just one day I was in the shower and all this hair just came out. And, I went through all the motions. I thought I was sick with something. Maybe I had cancer, maybe this, maybe that. Could not believe it. It was and then it was just a progression of, since I was 20, growing from year to year to year, and it just getting worse. And one of the other things, like, there is a little bit of a silver lining to it in that you kind of feel your morality a little bit more. Like, you feel like, time is not infinite, especially when you're at that age. You feel like anything is possible. You almost feel immortal. And there it's like, no, you have,
Yeah.
Like a finite amount of time. Do what you need to do, go after your dreams, do what you can. And so it kind of led me on that journey. But as that was progressing, yeah, I would say at around 30, 31 is when I shaved my head and I just said, let it go.
Yeah. That's really interesting that, you mentioned that the hair loss almost kind of sparked something internally for you, which almost wasn't necessarily a bad thing if it started helping you pursue, whether it was your goals, whether it was in business or in relationships. But this kind of like this moment at 2021 to be in a mindset where you're like, wait, I'm not going to live forever, and like time is of the essence. Like, to feel your mortality through this external like event that happens it makes it very, very real. And
Of course.
so it didn't happen. My hair loss didn't happen like that. It's been progressive since probably like 19 or 20, and I actually, no one told me, and I didn't know, but I can relate a lot to an event happening in my life at 20 to 21 that really, it changed my life path. I had someone close to me take their own life, and it was that moment that, like, it completely shifted my mind to realizing I didn't have much time, and that I really had to start taking myself and my goals a lot more seriously. And I think that's a really important point. The reason I bring that up is because sometimes these things that like hair loss, right, that we don't want to happen. I doubt that you wanted hair loss to happen. We can use them for positive things inside of our life, and it can be fuel to change circumstances in our life.
Absolutely. 100%. And that's really what it was. I mean, it was two roads, to choose from. It was just either weep and get in the fetal position and just cry about the whole thing, or really just try to make the most of it. Recognize your dreams, recognize what you want to do. And then who knows what happens. I mean, it's funny, like I didn't feel, although I'm making positive light of it, in the beginning, it was really harsh. It was traumatic. It was really bad for me. I couldn't believe it. I would even make like deals with, like I would pray about it and say, hey, I'll do this and this, sort of like a bartering thing, or, it just ridiculous
Yeah.
things, just to kind of, get just to try to deal with it in some way. And eventually I just let it go. It was just one of those things, but it was a really bitter pill to swallow for sure. And I think for a lot of people, it's the same thing.
I think so. Now, so you said that you were planning on getting a transplant. Was that the beginning of kind of like taking action for your hair loss, or were you thinking about, or did you try Rogaine or Propecia or any of that stuff less invasive, even though the chemicals do have an effect on your body, or did you just go directly for the transplant?
So in the beginning, I tried those things. I tried Rogaine, I tried Propecia. Didn't I didn't see the effects, and it was really harsh on my skin too. I just was not having a good time with it, and the effects that I was feeling. And then of course I would read about the side effects online, which kind of scared me. Um, and I was just, is that what I want? Is that what I want the trade off to be? And it's funny, I kind of played it in my mind, like, I was looking at hair transplants. Hair transplants are super expensive. And, I was like, I'm never going to be able to afford that. But, maybe if I work my ass off, maybe in the future I might. And it's funny because now I can afford them.
Hmm.
But even though I can afford them, they're not really, at least the doctors were nice enough to say, look, we don't think this is going to work. You've lost a lot, and there's really not much in your donor area. Um, but I mean, even so, when I started to see hair systems, and this was not like the way it is now versus what it was back then, I think has changed dramatically. I mean, back in those days, I mean, my uncle wore one, and
Really?
I always could tell. And yeah, my uncle, and I actually didn't know at first when they mentioned it. I could absolutely tell. But my uncle has this sort of like two-tone effect. He's got like the dark hair on top, the gray hair on the bottom just doesn't match. So it's definitely immediately noticeable that there's something off there. Um, but I just never considered it an option because there was just so many questions in my mind. Like, even if it was, what if our girl puts her fingers through my hair? Can she feel it? What if one day it just comes off? Like, there was just
Right.
so many things that really just kind of been out there from other people talking about it, joking about it, and you're just like, no, I'm not going to go down that road. But up to this point, looking at all the information online, watching your videos, watching other people, it's just the game has changed. It's
Yeah.
completely, it's completely changed, and a lot more people. And the more that I talk to people like you and others, it's becoming more and more common, which is another thing that I really love.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing that I've got to congratulate you on, that you've been so honest with the people in your life, and you've included your girlfriend and your family, and that really sets the stage for there's a saying, it says like everything that you ever want is on the other side of your fear. And I think a lot of individuals are afraid that people will find out that they're wearing a hair system, and it's a really interesting thing. It's like it's the worst possible thing that could happen. But
Right.
imagine instead, right? If we all approached it as in, like someone is going to come up to you. I guarantee you, if they haven't already, Mark, someone's going to come up to you and be like, "You have amazing hair," and you're going to be like, "Well, thank you." But right,
Yeah.
imagine if you or I said, "Yeah, thank you. I love this hair, and it's actually a hair system," and they'll say, "What's that?" And then you'll tell them, right, and they'll go, "Wow, that's actually really cool. Like, I totally didn't think that." They'll be familiar with wigs, right, and they'll be like, "I totally didn't think that they look like that." And then the stigma
Right.
meter of the whole world starts to go down, right? And if we all did that, if we all were secure enough to have that conversation with people, one, we personally would feel liberated and
100%.
empowered, and we would help other people around us, and the whole stigma would just decrease and decrease and decrease because the technology has changed so much.
It's it's true, and I think a big part of that, really, like, to be thankful for, is the technology aspect of it, because there is another thing to this. You can tell people that this is a hair system and they're really blown away, and it's crazy because something I'm finding out is, even telling them, before, it might be like, that there could be something or whatever, because maybe it's noticeable, but they legitimately cannot believe it.
Yeah.
They're like, and it doesn't even, like, they can't even process it, that it's a hair system. Like, once you tell them that, they're just like, A, they can't believe it, and B, even after the fact, they almost just completely, they forget about it,
Mm-hmm.
because every time they look at you, it's just so not noticeable that it just isn't even, it's not even a thing anymore,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the technology has definitely helped, but, like, I fully agree. The more we talk about it, as a society, the less there's going to be less stigma around it, and I think more people are going to be more comfortable with the idea. I mean, honestly, man, this stuff is better than a hair transplant. You can't. I Now that I have this, I'm like, I don't know how I almost convinced myself to do it. Really,
Yeah.
for the cost, for the results. I mean, we're not there yet, and this is fantastic. It
Mm-hmm.
really is. It blew my mind.
And one of the beautiful things about this too is hopefully everyone takes a little personal responsibility for this, but the more that you tell other people about this, right? Like there's like 90 million people, I think, that they figure inside of the US that have hair loss. Um, and 95% of people experience hair loss at some point in their life. But most of those people don't feel like they have an option. They feel like it's go bald, speaking to men specifically, but go bald, get a hair transplant, which is super duper expensive, or, well, a wig isn't really an option for most people. So therefore, because this community is still relatively small, prices have come down tremendously in the past couple of years. But economically speaking, the more people that get in on this, it's going to lower the cost at some point of all of this stuff. We're talking about, before the supply has become more scarce, but as more people could become aware of this, better prices will be offered, better technology will be offered, and it'll become just infinitely more accessible to people in general. So,
Right.
I hope we all play our part in that. But I mean, you're obviously doing your part, and I really appreciate you even just jumping on this right here and being vulnerable, and showing the whole world right now what you're going through.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I mean, I really really just want to let everybody know. Like, I see so many, especially, young guys that are suffering with being bald, and you can tell they're not feeling good about it. And it's like you said, in their minds, it's, I either pay money for, a transplant, which is not even guaranteed of anything, and it costs a lot of money, or I just go bald. Like, if more of them were just even just willing to try this, what do you got to lose?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, just at least try it, and you might find something. You might find something that is, you know, might help boost your confidence. You may find out that, no one's noticing it, or, there's just so many things to it that I think it's absolutely worth doing. And of course, the cost is something, and of course, the more people to do it, the less that cost is going to be. At the end of the day, you got to ask yourself: is this something worth investing in? It's not just hair; it's yourself. It's your well-being. It's like anything else, whether you're taking care of your facial hair, or using I don't know, all sorts of different products out there. And it's becoming more common now for a lot of guys. So this is just another thing to
Yeah.
that. And, I definitely think it's worth it.
Yeah, man. So thank you for that. And before we started this, you were telling me a little bit about your career and what's going on in your life, and you're saying that you really would like to, one, take a year-long sabbatical, really start to do some inner reflection, take care of yourself, because you said that you've really put a lot of emphasis on your career, and worked a lot, and maybe haven't really spent that time on developing yourself or caring for yourself. And you had some interesting thoughts that I'd love for you to share in regards to how that connects with this conversation.
Yeah. So that has been something in my life, at least, that I've just been working so much, really just, and I guess that's one of the things when I started to lose my hair, I was all about sort of dressing really well, styling my hair in different ways. And as that hair loss was going, I just kind of started forgetting about really taking care of myself. It's sort of, I don't know what it was really. I don't know if it was just sort of one of those things where it's like, whatever, doesn't really matter anymore kind of deal. Um, but yeah, I really stopped taking care of myself properly. I wasn't eating right. I was working really long hours. So this hair system for me wasn't just something to put on my head. It was also the first step in a lot of steps that I need to take to start taking care of myself. That includes, eating healthy, eating the right foods, all the things that pertain to me and what I think is appropriate for me to take care of myself. But it really was that first step. So, it was a really difficult first step, again, going through all the emotions and everything else. But, it's one of those things where I think a lot of us, we tend to try to see the best versions of ourselves, right? And sometimes it's really hard to get there. And we try to get there somehow. And I think for me, it kind of almost visually in some ways helped me kind of see that more, like, like in a better way.
Yeah.
And again, like it's one of those things where, even my girlfriend was telling me, like, look, you are going to have this, and I want you to know that confidence comes within. It's, you look good with or without it. And I 100% agree. I really do think that although we're doing this, we really need to look into ourselves and really understand what helps us feel good about ourselves, where we derive our confidence from. For me, this was just kind of one of those things where I could see and be like, oh, this is what it would have been like or could have been like. And
Yeah.
I guess it helped me remember all the things I forgot about myself. And so it was really helpful in that sense.
I love that because, part of the, you were so right. Like, confidence comes from within, and no matter what you possess, right? Whether it's the hair system or the Porsche or the BMW or the house or whatever, that is never going to satisfy the something that you have to deal with internally. However, sometimes taking care of yourself, well, what would someone who loves themselves do? They would take care of themselves, right? Like, if you love yourself, you start eating better. If you love yourself, you start going to the gym or exercising more often. If you love yourself, you start moving in ways that your body feels better, and you start taking on work that makes you more excited, right? And this is something that might be in that process of loving yourself more, taking care of your physical appearance, and right. And there's nothing wrong with being shaving your head or whatever you might choose. But if this is to you what loving yourself is, it's a self-perpetuating cycle at that point.
100%. And yeah, it's like it's helping me remember so much about the things that I forgot. And it all plays into like mind, body, soul. Like, you're taking care, not just the physical manifests and mental, like they play off of each other. So there's a lot of improvements in both areas as you're going through this process. And, to talk about like the things that I was doing to feel better about myself, I went and I bought the Porsche. I bought this, I bought that, like, but none of these things were really like helping my inner self to really understand more about who I am really. What are the things that I want to do, and where's that confidence? Where's that confidence um, uh, being? I guess uh, you know where's that well coming from? I guess where are you drinking it from?
Mm.
And so it's help in this process, and I'm calling it that because even this is I'm learning so much about myself. It's all a part of that.
That's incredible, man. Yeah, and you as well as I will continue to learn things about ourselves through some of the good ways that we love ourselves, and also, guess what? We talked about this before, but you're gonna face some challenges, and you'll learn stuff about yourself, how you handle challenges, especially very
Right.
personal or emotional challenges, and
Right.
don't be like me and shave your head when you have an emotional challenge. But it's all a good learning experience. It's a journey, and really excited for you to be walking this out and for taking action that shows that you love yourself. And I'd love to conclude. I always like to leave viewers with a nugget from the person that they're hearing from. If you have anything that you really like to say to crystallize something in your message to the people that are viewing this.
I guess I feel like we're all kind of looking for the same thing. Um, there's something there that all resonates in all of us, and this hair system is it's amazing. It's almost like a miracle in terms of what it can do. Um, you know, it's one of those things where unfortunately we are pretty harsh on ourselves when it comes to even physicality. I mean, look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The world is the way it is. A lot of people have perceptions on things depending on how they look, and sometimes it reflects in ourselves. And so, something like this to kind of alleviate some of that is really it's a beautiful thing, and more people should try it, and we should be more open about it. We shouldn't be um, embarrassed, scared, or anything like that. So yeah, I think I guess the message would be go for it, try it out, see how you feel. You'll learn a lot about yourself.
Mm. Love it, man.
So
Well, I appreciate you so much for sharing your message, sharing your story, being vulnerable for everyone to see. You wouldn't believe, um, you might see some stuff in the comments, but the people just directly reaching out and saying how these people sharing their stories are directly affecting them. So thank you for being one of those people and enabling more people to see how normal and how much power there can be in making a decision like this. So thank
my
you so
pleasure.
much. Thank you to everybody who's watching this. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Only about 15% of you are subscribed. So that means I know you're out there, you're watching, subscribe, and we'll catch you next week.